Free transform and transform. Free transform. The free transform option lets us perform transformations such as horizontal and vertical scaling and rotation. Now you have an object in the document, and let's try a few transformations, shall we? Go to the Edit menu and choose Free Transform option. You'll see the bounding box with scaling handles around the object. Using the corner handles, you can scale the object either vertically or horizontally. Bring the cursor outside the bounding box, and now you can perform rotation in the object. You can rotate the object clockwise or anti-clockwise. After performing the transformation, press the Enter key to apply the transformation to the object, or click on the Commit icon. The options of Free Transform are similar to that of the Transform tool. Then, using the Transform command, you can perform Scale, Skew, Distort, Envelope, Warp, and Rotate the object along with the Transform options. To select it, go to the Edit menu and choose Transform, and you'll get the following options. The Scale option will perform horizontal and vertical scaling using these handles. Rotate option will perform rotation alone. Skew option can slant either horizontally or vertically. Distort option will stretch the object in both axes. The Perspective option will apply a single point perspective to the selected item. Warp option manipulates the shape of the item. The Rotate option can rotate an object 180, 90 degrees clockwise or counterclockwise using these options. And then finally, the Flip Vertical Horizontal option will flip the object either horizontally or vertically. Therefore, you can apply transformations to the object in Photoshop using the Free Transform and Transform options. Guides, Grids, and Snap. Guides. The guides help you to position the images or objects precisely. To get the guides in the workspace, first you have to set the ruler in the workspace. So, go to the View menu and then select Ruler option. Here you get the visible rulers appearing along the top and left side of the active window. The markers in the ruler display the pointer's position when you move the cursor in the window. To change the ruler origin, the 00 mark on the top and left rulers, just click and drag in the top corner so that it lets you measure from a specific point on the image. Here you have two shapes in the document, and you can position them using the guides. Using the ruler, you can get the guides from it. Now just click and pull two imaginary lines from the horizontal ruler and drop it on top and below the shape number 1. These lines are called guides. Again, click and pull two guide lines from the vertical ruler and drop it in between the two shapes. Now adjust the alignment of shape 2 using these guidelines. You can also move the guides by just clicking and dragging. These guides are not printable. You can also lock them so you don't move them by mistake. To lock them, go to the View menu and select the Lock Guide option. Now the guides are locked and cannot be moved if you try. Then if you want to remove all the guides from the workspace, then go back to the View menu and select Clear Guides option. The New Guide option will help us to create a new guide. You can use the Smart Guides to align shapes, slices, and selections. Go to the View menu and then select Show and then finally click on Smart Guides. They appear automatically when you draw a shape. And then you can move it with the Move tool. And as you move, you'll see the Smart Guides indicating a drop in the shape. You can hide guides and Smart Guides if you need by disabling them. Now click on the document to deselect the options. Next up, grids. Grids also help you position the images or objects precisely. To get the grids, go to the View menu and select Show, and then click on the grid. The grids are useful for laying out elements symmetrically. The grid appears by default as non-printing lines, but can also be displayed as dots. Grids and guides behave in similar ways. The selections, selection borders, and tools snap to a guide or the grid when dragged within 8 screen, not image pixels. Now, guides also snap to the grid when they're moved. You can turn this feature on and off by disabling the guides and grids options. And then we have Snap. Snapping helps with precise placement of selection edges, cropping marquees, slices, shapes, and paths. But sometimes snapping prevents you from correctly placing elements. Now go to the View menu and select the Snap option. You can enable or disable snapping using this Snap command. You can also specify different elements to which you want to snap when snapping is enabled, and then you can move it with the Move tool. You will notice that it snaps along with the grids. This shows how to work with snapping. You can also turn it off when you're unable to position it in a particular place. Then the Snap To option will help us snap with the grids, guides, layers, and slices, and so on. So just go to the View menu, and then select Snap To option, and finally click on any of these options to snap. Hence, using these options, you should be able to position an object precisely within your image. Keyboard shortcuts and menus. Are you tired of moving the cursor for this and that on every option and command? I don't blame you. Then I would suggest to you to keep in track with the shortcuts, which makes things much easier and much faster. Now I hope you'll find these useful and less time-consuming as I have found them. Here in Photoshop, you can set the shortcut keys for tools and menu options using the keyboard. If you wish to set the shortcut keys, go to the Edit menu and click on Keyboard Shortcuts. Now you've got a dialog box, and in this you have 2 tabs here. They are Keyboard Shortcuts and Menus. In the Keyboard Shortcuts tab, click on the Set option to choose a set, as Photoshop default or any other set done previously. Under Shortcuts For option, you can set shortcuts for application menus, panel menus, or tools. You can select the Application Menu option in Shortcuts Options, and here you can view the menus list in this box. And by clicking on the small arrow next to it, you can see the menu list shortcuts. Just click on the shortcut space so that you can type a new shortcut in it. You can also use Accept option to save a new shortcut key in the menu. This Undo option will help us repeat the previous step, and then the Add or Delete shortcut option will add or delete the existing or new shortcuts. And then the Summarize option will help us save the shortcut in another file. From these icons next to the Set option, the Save icon will help us to save the changes in the current set. This icon will create a new set based on the current set of shortcuts. Finally, this Delete icon will delete the current set of shortcuts. Now, in case you retype an existing shortcut, it shows a warning. So just type a shortcut key for any option over here, and you get the warning with the reason in the space. Under Keyboard Shortcuts, you can create shortcuts for Tools, Menus, and Palette. Now, click on the Menus tab. The rest of the options are similar as in the Keyboard Shortcut tab. Under Set option, you have various sets, such as Photoshop, Basic, What's New CS4, and so on. For example, let's select What's New CS4, and then select the Application menu from the Menus For option. As you click on the small triangle icon next to the File menu, you get the sub-options shortcuts. The new options are indicated in this blue box next to the visibility icon. If needed, you can change the color of the box by clicking on it and selecting any of the colors from its options. You can also hide the options using this visibility icon. When you click on it, you turn off the visibility. Make desired changes and save the newly created set using this save icon. If you need help to perform changes, then you can get it from here, where it displays required solutions to use the options. Finally, click on OK to save the modification. Now, if you don't want it, simply click on Cancel to stop the modifications. When you want to change the shortcuts for menu alone, then go to the Edit menu and select the Menus option. Now, you've learned about these options in the above keyboard shortcuts. Therefore, you can create the desired shortcuts for Tools, Application, and Palette menus using the keyboard shortcuts and Menus option. Check Spell, Find, and Replace text. Check Spelling. The Check Spelling option allows us to check the spelling for the text, which is available in the image or in any document. Now, you have a text in the image, and to check the spelling, first you need to select the text layer and select the text using the Text tool. Now, go to the Edit menu and click on Check Spelling option. Now, you've got a dialog box, and in that the word which is not available in the dictionary is shown in the Not in Dictionary option. Then, Photoshop provides you with some similar suggestions along with it under the Suggestions option. In the Change To option, it shows the appropriate word, which you can use it, or you can select any other word from the suggestions. You can change single occurrence using Change option or Change All options, where it will change the spellings of the text in the entire image. Similarly, you can retain the wrong spelled words using Ignore or the Ignore All options. You can select the exact spelling, or else you can add the current text to the dictionary using the Add option. To correct the spellings in the entire layer, you can enable the Check All Layers option for it. Now, click on the Change option to correct the spelling. Now, as you complete the corrections, click on OK, and now the text is changed in the image. Next, we're going to learn about Find and Replace a text. Using this option, you can find and replace a text in an image or a document. Now, go to the Edit menu and click on Find and Replace option. You get its dialog box, and over here, specify the text you need to find in the Find What text box. For example, brilliant. This Change To text box will replace the corresponding text that you type in. For example, you type intelligent. The check options here are Search All Layers to include all layers, Forward, Case-sensitive text, and Whole word only. Now, they help to find the text easily and more quickly. And then click on the Change All option so that the word brilliant is replaced by the word intelligent. Now, as you complete the corrections, click on OK. Hence, you can find and replace the text within an image using this option.